Earlier this year, Blanchard revealed that she and her boyfriend Ken Urker were expecting their first child. Gypsy-Rose Blanchard is willing to tell her kid about her experience. The 33-year-old soon-to-be mother said earlier this week that she intends to finally share her whole tale after she welcomes her baby daughter on Nick Vile's podcast, The Vile Files. Since learning that she is having her first child with partner Ken Urker, Gypsy-Rose, who served 8 years in jail for her involvement in the death of her mother, D.D. Blanchard, says that sharing her story with her daughter has been at the forefront of her thoughts. That conversation is going to come up someday, and how do I want to address that? How do I want to handle that? She adds in the podcast interview. And I feel like when she is of the right age to understand, we are going to sit her down together. Get the best of people, from celebrity news to gripping human interest stories, sent straight to your inbox by subscribing to their free daily newsletter. Gypsy-Rose Blanchard, who is pregnant, explains why she and her boyfriend Ken Urker will co-parent a baby girl while living apart. Gypsy-Rose says she wants to share her story with her daughter, so she would better understand the decisions she has taken, adding that she will also have the support of her father and stepmother. So with that being said, with love and care and consideration, I mean we have a long time to prepare for that, to know what words need to be said, says Gypsy-Rose. One of the reasons the former prisoner, who is a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, wanted to publish My Time to Stand, a memoir, was so she could tell her tale to her future daughter, because she could read it for herself and realize that I'm not the person that others portray me as on social media, and that I'm not this monster. None of those things describe me, Gypsy-Rose declares. My memoir is a genuine representation of who I am and everything I have experienced. Therefore, I'm doing everything I can to ensure that she gets access to all the information she requires from the appropriate sources. Gypsy-Rose adds she would like her kid to watch the documentary about her if she so desires, in addition to her memoir. I support the documentary because I really believe that it is important to examine people's lives in its most authentic form. So when she's old enough, I'll let her watch my documentary if she wants to, Gypsy-Rose says. And perusing my book, and conversing with us, both he and I are transparent. We want her to feel free to ask any questions she may have. When Gypsy-Rose Blanchard gives birth to her daughter in a few months, she will be living with her parents rather than her partner Ken Urker. Blanchard, 33, revealed on a recent edition of the Vile Files podcast that she will have to spend the first few months of her baby's life with her parents because of the limitations of her parole, which prevent her from living with Urker. So I am still living with my parents in Cut Off, which is an hour away from Urker, Blanchard explains, referring to her father's Louisiana house. Until I'm released from parole, I'm going to stay there. We then ask ourselves, well, how will this work when the baby is born? For example, how many days are we allowed to spend together, and how many days are you allowed to spend with me? Blanchard goes on. Get the best of people, from celebrity news to gripping human interest stories, sent straight to your inbox by subscribing to their free daily newsletter. Gypsy-Rose Blanchard. It's heartbreaking that her mother won't know her baby girl. Who will she be with, do you know? Even though we are together, we are essentially co-parenting because we are constantly traveling back and forth. When host Nick Vile asks Blanchard about the details of her parole, she responds that it includes the standard ones, such as making her parents' house her principal residence. There is a problem with that restriction in particular. Thus, we had discussed that in great detail, Blanchard informs Vial. Additionally, in a way, this is a new connection. We are only getting back together after a 5-year breakup, despite the fact that we have a foundation and a history together. Blanchard says that because so much time has passed since their first date, she and Urker had to discuss some of the major relationship issues, such as their future plans and parenting objectives. All of those are very important talks that couples typically have well into their first year of dating. We are already pregnant after just 1 month. We therefore needed to have those very important talks, she says. unless she and Erker get married. Blanchard, who is on parole until June 2025, adds, there is no exception for couples who are having children together. We talk about it for sure, Erker clarifies. Blanchard observes, I have my own opinions about that,